Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video, and we have EZA Omega Shenron versus the legendary GT Goku event. This is going to be the same format as the EZA Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta video, where this is taken, I've kind of made highlights taken from all of Omega's rotations and turns, made them into highlights against or from the same video as the GT bosses run. There's just no point doing a whole separate video for this. Might as well just chop up his bits. And I have to say, he's up there as one of my favorite EZAs. I mean, for the most part, one of the big reasons is not only is he really good anyway, but having dual EZA Omegas and running Shadow Dragons rather than GT bosses, very good idea to do so. I mean, not only with the 170 category lead, but having two EZA Omegas put in the amount of work that they did honestly is ridiculous. And I still do not understand why a lot of global players, funny enough, during JP's anniversary when his details originally got dropped, were like,
he's too similar to Cola. That's not good.
I don't understand. I said it before and I'll say it again. I don't get it. Like, what's the... I get you wanting every unit in the game to be original, which just really isn't the case at this point. There's similarities and minor differentiations, like here and there. That's just the way it works. But seeing people complain as much as they did, being like,
He's too similar to EZA Final Form Cooler. No, that's bad.
I don't get how that's a bad thing, because EZA Final Form Cooler was an absolute monster. So having EZA Final Form Cooler basically on all the categories that, or having EZA Omega Shenron, sorry, on all the categories and being like Cooler, but being on the categories that Cooler doesn't go on, is only a good thing to me, because EZA Final Form Cooler, as I said, was a monster. So having that on categories that Cooler don't go on is just pretty good to me. That's pretty sick. You know, so I still don't get why people complained about that. Again, I get you wanting units to be original, but yeah, you basically, like, for example, the comparison I made, and I'll make it again now, is imagine if you had the LRSSJ4s in an extreme unit on all the categories that they don't go on. You'd probably think that's one of the best things ever. You know, that would be one of the best extreme units in the entire game, hands down. I don't know why a lot of global players complain then, but you know, I digress. But yeah, in terms of Omega Shenron, I mean, not only was he great in this event anyway, you know, with it being a longer event, it kind of applies the same logic to like stacker units. You know, while he's not a stacker, I mean, building up your passive is kind of similar, except there's a restriction, there's a cap off with building up his passive, rather than stackers where you just, you know, you can just go until you build the event, obviously. You know, what's good about his passive is he only has to build up 7 times, or he only has to attack 7 times. And being a unit that has a built-in additional, and also if you have dupes in him, can also additional again, you have the potential and ideally the possibility of super attacking 3 times. And what's so good about his passive, and the same thing applies to Final Form Cooler, is you don't need to super to build up, you just need to attack. So any additional basics, even though you'd rather them to be supers, as long as they're additionals and he attacks again, you're building up quicker. And 7 times on a unit that has built-in additionals and also potential of having dupes in him so he can additional again, means getting him going, getting him to where he needs to be, his full potential, takes no time at all. I mean, ideally, if you constantly get the built-in additional, which is a medium chance, and you then also get the additional from the dupe system, you could potentially have him almost built up in 2 turns. Which is kind of mad. Obviously not 2 turns in the whole event, but 2 turns of him being back, which, as I said, is kind of mad. And that helps here. And as I said, the same logic I kind of applied to stackers, which is GT Goku event and Vegeta event are longer events. The event gradually get harder as you go through. I mean, obviously they do more damage, more defense, more health, more damage reduction, etc, etc, etc. With a unit that builds up that quickly, and with the, you know, the event gradually getting more difficult, and you needing to build up his passive before he really gets going, it gives him time to do so. So even though he does build up quite quickly because of the built-in additionals and, you know, the potential with dupe system additionals, I mean, at least if you're not getting them, it's not a worry that if this guy gets super attacked, bang, you're almost dead, your run's potentially over if you take another attack. You know, you're never in that situation with EZA Omega ever. just because, as I said, the event gradually gets harder. This guy builds up so quickly, even if you're not getting those additionals come off, which is incredibly unlucky, by the way, if that doesn't happen. I mean, it happens once or twice, but barely. It means he still won't get you killed while you're waiting to really get him going, which is a major plus. And I have to say, not only is he a good unit anyway, but he carried. He 100% carried, or both EZA Omegas did. They carried this GT Bosses category 1. That is another reason why I think he's so good. I mean, without Omega's EZA, this probably would have been so difficult to do. So difficult to do. I think one of my Twitch notifications just come off. Yeah, that scared me a bit. Yeah. Where was I? Yeah, honestly, EZA Omega, I literally lost my full train of thought. Having 2 EZA Omegas is probably the reason why you managed to do this run, and I've already said it in the GT Bosses video, but I highly advise you use Shadow Dragons if you can. Because EZA Omega will carry you, because not only does he quickly build up in his passive where he needs to be, which is obviously a good thing in this event, because then you can do max amount of damage that you need to be doing to get through the GT event quicker. You have your defense in a spot where he'll be taking double digits on a basic. You know, it's kind of standard now, but if you're taking double digits on a basic, you know, not only in the early phases, but also the latter phases, especially against full pass J4 Goku, which he did. Good thing, you know, especially in this type of event where you kind of need all the RNG, you know, you can get when it comes to GT bosses and, you know, the units you're using, and not many of them being that defensively safe. But even on supers, I mean, a lot of the time we got supered with Omega, especially in the latter phases, which is where you really kind of want to test the unit and see how much damage they're taking and, you know, if they'll survive. Most of the time I got supered with an item active. And with an ETA, I'm pretty sure I got supered for like, not even 200k. So, you know, even on the final phase where, you know, getting hit by a super from full power J4 Goku is incredibly risky. But then being able to tank, you know, as an estimate without an item active with EZA Omega against full power J4 Goku, you're probably looking at like just over 200k, which is a lot of damage to take. But considering a lot of units who do not have the big defensive capabilities like guard, damage reduction, stacks, considering he's not a unit like that, for him to probably take just over 200k against full power J4 Goku, the final phase in the GT Goku event, is still pretty good, because it means he's not going to get you killed. Even though 200k is a decent chunk of damage to take, how much health do we have there? Like just over 500k. So that means for the rest of the turn we have like 300k health, or maybe just under 300k health, so like 290. That means that the rest of the units on the team, from obviously finishing this run, are not going to get us killed on basics, especially after supering, which also is huge. This is another reason why he's so good and probably so dominant while I've done this GT Bosses run, is once he's fully built up, he has round about, I think, like 500-600k attack before you pick up an orb, and like 270k defense, which is obviously really good. Once you get an orb, his attack's like almost at a mil. I think it's like on like 900k. Obviously the defense is in the same spot. But on super, EZA Omega raises defense, which is not, it is also very handy. I mean, he was in slot 1 for the rule of this event, and he actually still done very well, especially without guard and damage reduction. But once he supers, he raises his defense, which means he's in a very good spot. Hence why he's tanking double digits on basics. He's not going to take too much on a super where you have to be concerned. But he will still take a decent chunk, but he won't get you killed, and the rest of the rotation probably won't get you killed. Unless, of course, you have like minimal amount of health left, and in that case, you should have used an item. But then, the fact he has built-in additionals, and you have a 30% chance to launch an additional super, guess what? That means he can additional super, that means he raises his defense twice by 30%. Then, if Dokkan is feeling very generous and RNG kicks in, you get the additional from your dupe system. You super attacked a 3rd time, and you've raised your defense 3 times. So that is all in total raising your defense by 90% if he super attacks 3 times ideally, and what you want him to do, while having 270k defense before you super. So once Omega's finished supering, even if he doesn't do the full 3 and he gets, you know, just 2 off, which is obviously more than likely because there's built-in additional, and also you have dupe system additional, so one of them is bound to come off. Having almost 300k defense and then super attacking twice and raising your defense by 60%, means that this guy's defense is in a very good spot. In a very good spot where he'll be able to tank a super attack. Probably at this point, if it happened for me as well, and without an item, had to make sure I survive, you know. Probably looking at under 200k, which for a unit, again, without guard or damage reduction or stacking up the entire event to do, is incredibly impressive. And that's exactly why I said having 2 EZA Omegas on this team not only helped with the 170 Shadow Dragons lead, but he also carried because the amount of damage he does, also the possibility of constantly getting additional supers, which is even more damage, also critting on top of those as well. I mean, did you see that? 4 million crit on 1 super. 4 mil. Can you imagine if the RNG kicked in, we got the additional from the passive? You know, we would have done probably, even without a crit, an extra 2-3 mil. You know, but, you know, just over 2 mil. If we then got another additional super from the dupe system, we would have done another 2-3 mil. If we would have critted, that would have been over 4 mil. The amount of damage he does fully built up is key. And it helps you get through these phases so much quicker. Again, I keep relaying it back because that's where he carried in the GT Bosses category mission. And then he's raising his defense on those same supers where you don't have to worry about him defensively. Which is honestly ridiculous. And again, I just kind of relay it back to my original point of I don't understand why so many global players were upset on the JP anniversary as to why he was so similar to Final Form Cooler. Because Final Form Cooler was ridiculously good. And the same can be applied to Omega on the categories that Omega goes into. So offensively, defensively, he's amazing here. Doesn't take him long to get built up, which is good. It means he's at his best early on, going through the entirety of the event as it gets more difficult. But he is sick. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Drop a like, subscribe. I'll see you next video, guys, and push.